Just like you, I'm plagued with internet brain rot, doom scrolling, cringing at other people online, and just getting absolutely sucked into the cultural zeitgeist. But apparently, not only am I just ruining my own life with the amount of scrolling and my attention span, but apparently I'm actually ruining gaming as well. Apparently, your attention span is ruining gaming. From Juniper Dev. I've never heard of Juniper before, and so I want to hear what she's got to say about apparently everything's my fault.
Another year of college is over, guys, so I came home jolly as can be. I waddled over to my bedroom, I booted up a game that I'd been waiting forever to play, and I was bored.
I have been there so many times. How many times have you found yourself? You finally have some free time, you want to sit down and game, you look at your Steam library, you've got like 400 games sitting in there from Humble Bundles and everything else, and you're just like, guys, there's nothing to play. It's so bad. It's so bad. I've got so many games in my Steam library, I've literally never played once. Never even booted it up. It's bad.
Within the first 5 minutes. But this isn't a boring game at all. It's a beloved game. I'm constantly hearing about how fun it is and how beautiful it is. So I can say with full confidence that this is a me problem. This is literally an attention span skill issue. Because
Oh, well, I will. Look, also benefit of the doubt here. Sometimes just not every genre of game is for you. So even if a game might be like really good and polished for its niche, it just might not have like the gameplay or mechanics that you might want to. Like, just like, to be fair all around here.
well-designed games are not built to cater to a short attention span. They aren't built for constant novelty, they're built to reward curiosity and patience and perseverance. Of course, there still needs to be reward and we need to feel incentivized to keep playing, but in a way that complements our psychology, not manipulate it. See, a well-designed game is able to build
Subway Surfers. It's ruined the Zoomers, and now it's ruined us all.
just enough resistance and slow things down enough to keep you curious, but not so much so to where even someone with a healthy attention span would get bored. I think of it as like a friction zone, and removing that friction zone is the objective of literally every other type of media in our lives right now. We're talking streaming platforms, social media, because the job is simple. Keep you watching. That means friction is the enemy, because it's a risk. It's something that gives you a reason to potentially stop staring at your screen like a monkey. So
See? Subway Surfers. I knew it. If you want a game that's got like the right amount of friction, in my opinion, go play a Souls-like. That's gonna give you a lot of friction. Maybe you can try out Night Rain. I just picked it up and haven't had a chance to play it yet, but that's definitely one that I'm excited to pick up. But like, that game will give you some friction. And I think the appropriate amount of friction, because when you finally get through and you beat a boss, oh, baby.
instead, we're given an infinite scroll. Bright colors, loud hooks, the algorithm rewards things that can entertain you for as long as possible.
And we're doing this with like Coco Melon too. We're ruining the children. Guys, we're so cooked. We're so cooked as a species.
But games don't care. It's considered good game design when a game doesn't dump you with all the player's abilities at the start. Delayed gratification, right? You have to go and explore, you have to unlock things over time. The same goes for well-designed and well-paced tutorials. Good tutorials don't throw everything immediately in your hands. They slowly and intentionally show instead of tell so that you can go experiment and oftentimes observe and mirror something in your environment.
And also, you're hitting the dopamine center of like the reward center of like constantly feeling like you're making progress too. Like if you have a game and like you can only beat the game or complete it like by actually like finishing it, like there's no milestones or anything placed throughout it that gives you that sense of progression, it really starts to feel like a futile endeavor. And so like it stops you from doing it. So really good game design too also has milestone moments and things that help you feel like even if you lose progress, you're still gaining progress overall, and it keeps the attention moving forward.
You could also look at the design that goes into level design, or more broadly, level progression. The first world in any Super Mario game is usually pretty easy, but the further you go, the harder it gets and the more rewarding the challenge becomes and the more fun it feels. After a certain point, you're given twists on old mechanics, and you have to combine things in ways that you haven't before. That kind of design requires pacing, and pacing respects the player's ability to learn and grow. It doesn't demand your attention, because it can't.
I haven't played Super Mario Galaxy in like a decade. It's crazy to me that that's what she's pulling up here. Like even Mario Odyssey like had like a decent amount of that as well. So I think it's to pull back like this deep a cut of reference. Like I respect that, Juniper. I
Make
respect
it an objectively bad game by any design metric.
Seriously, on the Wii.
That's what I'm saying makes games so powerful as a medium in today's day and age where attention is everything. That's why I think games are a practice of attention and why they can actually improve your attention span. Because after 20 minutes of playing Animal Well, I wasn't still playing because my attention was being constantly fought for, but because the experience was genuinely immersive and thought-provoking and brave enough to slow down. Because the modern internet wants you distracted, and tracked, and monetized. Which is why I'd like to introduce you to my friend here, NordVPN. Today
I think like a lot of games too, to kind of jump through our ad break here. Actually, you know what? Go sign up with the link, guys. Go sign up with the link in the description. The other part of it too, in a lot of ways, a really good video game is kind of like a good book as well, where there's often a lot of like a slower build up when you're reading through the story. Like it's laying the foundation, it's bringing you into it. And it might have a strong hook at the beginning that gets you like interested in it. But as the story progresses overall, like you have to put in that time and investment in reading through chapter after chapter to get to that final payoff or to get to some of those, you know, mountaintop moments throughout the story that you don't get from scrolling on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Reels or whatever. You're just kind of getting that like quick 1 minute boost of dopamine. And so like actually I do see a lot of cross between books and video games in kind of a similar way. I don't read.
So NordVPN will help you stay sane online, and so will puzzle games, which I really want to talk about in regards to
Portal.
attention
I just realized
span.
Portal's
Puzzle
behind
games
her
are
too.
probably
It's
one
so
of the
great.
most engaging ways to retrain your brain, because they require active, conscious thought and stillness. You got to be able to sit and think, because you are thinking critically, you're experimenting, maybe working with other people. And when you solve whatever level or puzzle you're working on, you feel proud at your own focus and effort.
The first time you beat Portal in Portal 2, it is such a satisfying feeling. And that's another game that also does a great job at bringing you into the baseline mechanics and slowly ramping it up from there until in like 2, you're messing with all the different colored slimes and positioning, getting, you know, multiple lasers going across, watching out for the turrets. And by the end of it, like these crazy complex puzzles all come together. And like, it is so satisfying to finally get through to the end. And then it's also told with like an awesome story that's not like super in your face. It's really paced out well. It's a tight narrative. I loved it. So if you haven't played Portal 2, go give that a play. It's good.
Practiced a skill and you saw the fruit of it. You're not rewarded for consuming, but for thinking, for using that little noggin, no
that's
matter
good framing.
how small it is. That wouldn't work if you got instant answers. Literally, puzzle games that are too easy are not fun for anyone. Except for maybe me, because they make me feel smart. Some of my favorite memories involve playing through co-op puzzle games with friends during COVID. We're talking Portal, Pico Park, We Were Here, Escape Simulator, heck, even chess, which I am abominably bad at, but I was initially very bored whenever I'd play it. And not bored in a, oh, chess just isn't really my type of thing way, but in a, oh my goodness, I'm playing this and I can feel my brain physically reaching for stimulation, even though I'm objectively enjoying what I'm doing.
I have a really bad habit of doing this, especially with like watching TV. If I am like watching a TV show, like with my wife or something, and then I find myself like scrolling on my phone. Also often too, it's for dailies. It's for gotcha dailies because look, there's only so much time in the day. And if we're watching a show, it's like, oh, nice. I can get my woo-woo dailies done real quick on my phone. Like, you know, it's just, sometimes you got to do the dual screen thing, but this is like a pretty bad habit that like a lot of people you should try and avoid this if we're being honest here.
Type of way. So at one point, what I did was I moved the location of the Instagram app on my phone and replaced it with the chess app. So that way, anytime I went on my phone and I was in brain rot autopilot monkey mode, I would accidentally open the chess app instead of going to Instagram Reels. And whenever that would happen, I would start a game. So over time, I ended up cutting down on the amount of time I spent on short form media. And I actually really
And instead, she was honing her skills, the Queen's Gambit.
enjoy chess now. And I could literally feel the muscles of thought forming as I did this and slowly started realizing my own patterns. I still suck, and I'm still humbled every time I play
also
against
suck.
AI Mr. Beast. Or XQC, God bless. But it's cool, and it goes to kind of show that you do sometimes have to take the active
You know, it's not accurate here, like with what they're showing with XQC, because you can actually like read that text and understand what he's saying. But if you watch an XQC stream, like you have no idea what he's saying. So.
Initiative in retraining your brain sometimes. And that's why it kind of takes effort, sadly enough, for me and maybe for you too, to play a new game for more than 5 minutes. Because subconsciously, it's a risk. We don't know if we're going to get the same amount of dopamine from this new uncharted territory of a video game than we do from social media. All you know is that in this immediate second, when you pick up this game, you don't feel that. So give up.
I think it's the same reason too, actually, why a lot of free-to-play model games are also being really successful right now, because they've removed the friction of like needing to purchase a game outright or upfront, so you don't feel like you've lost anything if you're going to give it a try. Like free-to-play, you're like, oh, I'll download it, give it a try. If I don't like it, I'll uninstall and I'll move on, and like that's totally fine. Whereas like if you want to buy like the most recent AAA title and you're dropping $80 on it or something like that, you feel that. That's a bit of like a pain point and a loss. So having that is why I think like one of the additional reasons why gacha games have become more and more popular is that free-to-play model.
But if you can troop it out and you can retrain your silly monkey brain, then you will get some of the most rewarding and fulfilling experiences possible. That's the case for most games, puzzle games, like I said, and also narrative games. Just instead of trying to get portals in the right spot or fumbling around getting blocks in the right place, you're piecing together a story. And
hey, Portal 2 has also got an excellent narrative, and so does Portal 1. It's just told in a very simplistic way that's like really enjoyable. Not like look, let's be real here too. There's a lot of games that suck. Sometimes you are going to play a game that does waste your time and you feel like it was a waste of your time. That is the case. But most of the games that are popular, that do have a decent amount of attention, you're going to have a pretty good experience with.
And that requires active attention. You have to read, you have to remember, the bar's on the floor if it's not clear enough, but you have to care and you have to pay attention to the subtle details. And then behold, you get some of the most emotionally rich and nuanced experiences that gaming can offer. Think about Disco Elysium, which for the record, I still have not played, please don't kill me, but I do know a good bit about it.
I have a friend of mine who was working on an essay about Disco Elysium, so I got like a general idea of what the game is about. I think it's a really narratively depth game where like a lot of your decisions like actually matter and impact the story. There's a lot of different like routes and paths that you can go down in terms of like your political affiliations and stuff. It is quite interesting. There's a lot of options. But you want to go punch a snot-nosed kid that's causing you a lot of issues, you can. You can just deck them right in the face.
No combat in this game, exactly. There's no flashy sequences of fighting or action, but it's a lot of
adventure.
Well put together and creative dialogue. Dialogue that branches in wildly different directions depending on what you remember and what you actively choose to store in your brain. It's not something that you can just mindlessly scroll through or like half pay attention to. And the more you invest your attention, the more it gives back to you and the more fulfilling the experience is. That's really what this...
Yeah, there are times in the decisions, if I recall correctly, where when she's saying like if that you actively remember, is like the game is not always super upfront with like, hey, remember this notepad you found? It had this note on it. Remember to let them know. Like there are small moments where they do like highlight that, and there's this like another voice that you're hearing in your head where they kind of let you in on some of that. But actually there's a lot of dialogue options that like if you just remember, you know, like, oh, if I ask them about this and I ask them about this, it's going to go down this path, or I can get this information, more information from them. So it is like really unique in that sense that like it does want you to pay attention the whole time, not just when the game is, you know, pinging you to do so.
It's all so far boils down to focus. Games demand focus in a way that is so beautifully different from everything else in our lives. Because you're not just watching something happen, you're actively responding to an environment, you're interacting with a system, you're learning from your mistakes. You're immersing yourself in a world that you chose to put yourself in. You didn't just happen to passively scroll upon it. You're anticipating, you're growing, you're learning, you are holding the steering wheel. And then eventually, the game ends. And that's important, that's big. Generally, good narrative games or puzzle games or anything, they reach a concrete ending because their goal is not to keep you there playing for as long as possible. They give you an emotionally resonant moment, they give you something to think about that probably changes the way you see something in the world, and they let you appreciate that and they send you on your way. It's
like reading a book, except for live service game models that really want you to keep playing and stay with the game the whole time. Definitely not a lot of the games that I play.
So easy with everything else to just like check out.
Fortnite.
It's so easy to scroll endlessly through social media, genuinely forever. It's so easy to keep swiping and somehow watch the entirety of Game of Thrones on YouTube Shorts. But games don't let you do that.
I basically did that with Peaky Blinders. I saw so many Peaky Blinders clips that I was like, wow, this show actually looks like pretty sick. I guess I'll go watch it. So, I mean, like, then I did. I watched the entire series. Great show, by the way.
Might pull you in with, you know, some pretty graphics, something engaging,
Cult of the
something
Lamb.
attention grabbing. But the rest depends on your conscious active presence. Look at older games where the whole game is active gameplay and you have to be focused the whole time to win. How something like Celeste builds up.
Hold on, those older game models too, though, there's a little bit of intentionality to those designs because the game space was limited, and so the games are also coded in very difficult ways because they wanted you actually to keep replaying the game. Like those arcade games, it was they wanted you to have to reset to restart over and over because their monetization model was getting you to put in quarters and to play again and again. So like, yes, it's action packed and wants your focus the whole time. That's because the time is extremely limited in total, and that actually does speak to their monetization model.
Up your tolerance for failure. How something like Animal Crossing teaches you how to show up consistently, how to slow down and notice small things. Games create space where attention feels natural again for so many people. They hand you systems and feedback loops and beautiful moments that you want to engage with. And in doing that, they have the ability to retrain your attention span. It still takes me a little longer than I'd care to admit to not become immediately bored 3 minutes into playing a new game, but I've started to see that feeling
We've all
as a
been there. It's
symptom
okay.
rather than me or the game failing. It's me
Yeah, that's true.
slowly detaching from the constant drip of stimulation that I've been spoon-fed for years.
Yeah, your brain really likes patterns and really likes routine. So if your dopamine system, your dopaminergic system is really like used to and what's the word I'm looking for? Adjusted to the mindless scrolling experience, you're going to have a really difficult time getting into something that's going to be a slow burn, something that's going to build up over time. Like it takes time to rewire your brain and rewire how you reward yourself, how your brain rewards you too. Because that's the other weird thing. Your brain needs to reward you with the chemicals that it injects into it based on things that are happening in your environment. And you have to train your brain to do that. It's crazy how that works. But like, that's exactly why it takes that adjustment period.
I don't think everyone sees video games this way, which is sad, but
I think a lot of people do.
I
A lot
get
of
it.
people do.
I have scrolled TikTok. I have seen those mobile game ads. I have seen the people who are hired to promote these games fighting for their life to make it sound even remotely interesting.
If I see another freaking Last War ad, I'm going to riot.
Right, I'm multiplying, which is great because I need to kill all these little red men and there's more of me to do it. But scoring points. Now there's a lot more of me, which is better to shoot all these tires. It's great.
Frankly, I never knew it was possible to reskin the exact same Endless Runner game so many different ways. It's amazing. Because
I'm pretty sure this is also even like a preset now in like the Unity engine. That's like, oh, you want like an endless runner? Like, here you go. So like, they've made it extremely easy to do so. There's a recent like waifu one that I saw. It's like called like Running Goddess or something that just came in through my ads recently. And it's like, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same thing.
Because these mobile games abandon objectively good and well-respected design practices in favor of catering to an attention span, which games are not meant to cater towards, what you get is not a game. It's a product. At this point, your audience isn't even gamers because what you're making isn't optimized for depth, but for attention. And the metric for good games...
I do love the Mafia Boss memes, though. Oh, you're just a level 1 crook. I'm a level 800 Mafia Boss. You don't even know, fam. You don't even know.
Isn't attention, it's retention. There's a
True.
difference. These mobile games don't care if you enjoy
live
your
service.
experience.
It's all about
really.
retention.
They care that you opened the app, you watched an ad, maybe spent $5 and came back for your daily reward. And unfortunately, the bad eggs here really do infect society's whole notion of what gaming is. The most loud, the most visible and advertised examples of mobile games, which is also the biggest market for gaming globally, by the way, are these products, not even games, they're products. It's sad, but it's completely logical why so many people have a misunderstanding of what gaming is and what it's becoming.
Human brains have been decoded and figured out that if we can just hack your like biological systems to force you into places where we can make money off of you, they're going to do it. And that's what so many of these mobile games do. So many of these trash mobile games like Last War, like that Infinite Runner that was there, what's it called? Subway Surfers and the Jungle Run? Like all of them are catered around the idea of we're going to give you this really quick arcadey experience. You get the action, which often it sucks anyway, like in the case of Last War, and then they force you to watch an ad so you can continue playing because all they're doing is just milking you for cash. So if you are going to play a mobile game, at least play one that's going to give you a decent experience, like, you know, something like Wuthering Waves or, in my opinion, Zenless Zone Zero, something like that actually gives you a fair shake in terms of the gameplay you're going to get versus the amount of retention that they're asking out of you.
The entire term mobile gaming has been completely hijacked by these brain rot mobile games. It used to mean, oh, portable gaming, that's really cool. Look at how we can condense the artistry and entertainment of games in such an accessible format. But now?
It was just never really as big in the West as well. Like, we did have handheld gaming. Like, we did have Game Boys, Game Boy Advance, SPs, PSPs, like everything that came over. And it was still building a decent amount of momentum in terms of mobile gaming. But it just never really took off the same way in the West as it did in, like, a lot of, like, Eastern regions, like in Japan, like in Korea, where, like, mobile gaming is, like, much more the norm of experience. And so it just turned into these cash grab models of, we're just going to try and farm as many people as we can. We're going to try and farm the Facebook moms or anyone who just wants to get the satisfaction of getting the completion on the Last War run so we can just make whatever cash we can off of them. Just cash grabs, cash grabs, cash grabs, cash grabs.
Now we get this, whatever this is. But anyway, I'm not just worried because I think these games are infecting the societal view of gaming, but because I think they're setting a very dangerous trend for gaming.
I will mention, not all of them are bad either. Like, remember, Bloons Tower Defense, if I recall correctly, maybe it started as a Flash game originally on, like, Miniclip or whatever, but eventually it got, like, iPhone Touch versions, or just, like, iPod Touch versions of the game, and, like, Bloons is still a game that people, like and enjoy, right? They've released, like, 4. Like, that started as a mobile game, or got really popular, I should say, through being a mobile game. So it's not like every single one of these mobile games sucks. Just most of the ones you see in the ads that are pushed out like crazy, just don't bother.
Right now, games are so great because they're not trying to satisfy your goldfish attention span. That's been like the whole point of the video, right? They're built in so many ways that do not cater to that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they start to. My fear is that they'll start to design for the distracted player. Look at like auto combat systems in RPGs, for example. Instead of playing through a fight, you can click a button and then the system will do it for you and do the gameplay. So it kind of becomes a battle of stats and numbers rather than interaction and player choice. Systems like that aren't inherently bad, and I can't say that I know a ton about them, but they do ultimately distance games from what they are and what makes them unique as a medium, which is
You know what? It's interesting that she brings this up in this video. I just had an exchange with a friend of mine on Twitter, Chaotic, who was asking about, like, what does it mean to respect a player's time when it comes to these gacha games, when it comes to these auto mechanics and auto systems. And personally, I land on a place where I actually don't love auto combat in games that should require your attention for complexity of it. Like in the case of like Honkai Star Rail, like I do think the more that you rely on the auto for the game, and this I find myself guilty of this too, is you find yourself understanding the mechanics less and less. You don't really understand what the bosses are doing. You don't understand what the characters are doing. You're just autoing through the game, putting the team together and moving on with your life. And it just becomes like, you think it's respecting your time because you can, I can auto these farming stages. I don't have to sit here and manually battle through 6 runs to get some additional credits to level up one of my characters. Like, to me, that's not respecting a player's time. That's wasting a player's time. Like, you either need to embrace either the expediency of getting the rewards for a player or embrace the grind for getting the rewards for the character. I think like auto systems like this are kind of like a halfway implementation where developers are trying to have their cake and eat it too, where they're just really trying to get the numbers up of the amount of people who are actively logged into the game when people aren't actively playing. Like, they're just farming materials, farming resources. And that's something that's bled over from like a lot of like Eastern MMO model games that like I also don't like. I'm not big on like Black Desert Online, for example. I was not a big fan of that because that's a big part of it is like the auto farming in it. There's been a couple other ones as well that's way more normal in kind of like Eastern style games. That's not one as like a Western player I like. Either make it a grind that you have to participate in, that you feel rewarded for, that's engaging to play. Or if you're going to be a more short bursts of attention and fun, then be able to just like auto clear, meaning like just like clear and get the rewards that you would get from like burning the stamina that you want to do. I don't like the halfway in between. That's me personally.
Which is all about choice and thought and power and focus. So it is kind of sad to see this, but I don't think we're screwed by any means. I've been a little bit pessimistic, but I don't think that the future of gaming is just gonna crash and burn. We still have a plethora of amazing, soul-filled games out there, and more that are being developed every day, that are gonna keep our monkey brains chugging along for at least a little bit longer.
And I think a lot of these games too, that like we've been talking about, like a lot of these gacha games, like I do still think they offer you a rewarding gameplay experience. Like in the case of Wuthering Waves, it is solid. I would argue like close to AAA level combat that you're getting out of like Wuthering Waves combat, and in the hologram modes and the Tower of Adversity for what you can do. And the storytelling in it is excellent. However, it does have some of these other systems that you might complain about in terms of like forcing the retention for the player or requiring daily login. So like it's kind of like a middle ground there, but at the very least, they're rewarding you with a quality game experience, not just one of these like mobile game pieces of trash.
Your girl will finish Animal well, okay? Mark my words. That's all that I have to talk about today. It's a bit more serious, and I kind of locked in a little more than I usually do on these.
Well, thank you, Juniper Dev. I've never actually seen her content before. Like I was saying before, that was an excellent video talking about how my brain rot is slowly destroying the gaming industry, and so is yours. So the best thing we can do to compete against that is get rid of the brain rot, get rid of those crappy attention spans, and sit down and play something and enjoy it. But that's going to be it for this one, everybody. Shout out. I will link her video in the description of this video. Make sure to go give her a like and subscribe. Make sure to do that here as well for future content. And thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time.